Today I'd like to inform you on why the U.S. government should not enact further gun control laws on its citizens. I want to tell you why I believe that strict gun control laws are not the answer to America's gun violence problem. The U.S. has a serious crime problem, but disarming the law-abiding population is not the answer to our issues. In December of 1791, an amendment was ratified, which is the Second Amendment. It protects Americans' rights to keep and bear arms. Today, in modern society, the relevancy of this amendment is largely in question. People debate whether or not it is still necessary. Rightfully so, because America does have a large crime problem and many people fall victim to gun violence each year. With this issue in question, many politicians want to institute strict gun control policies in the U.S., and they already have in some areas. But the question remains, will disarming the law-abiding population fix our crime issue, or will it only worsen it? I believe that it will only make things worse. In this speech, I will share my opinion on why the U.S. government should not enact further gun control laws on its citizens, and I hope you learn something. First, I'm going to discuss the two different sides of the gun control argument. There are two main sides regarding the gun control argument. There are those against further gun control laws. They believe that guns should be readily available to the citizens who are fit to own them and who can pass proper background checks. They believe the government should not have much of a say in whether or not a citizen should be able to own a certain type of firearm. They believe the Second Amendment matters just as much today as it did in 1791. They believe that gun crimes, while tragic, should not be responded to with more gun laws. They believe that criminals will obtain guns no matter what. Therefore, citizens should have access to the firearms to defend themselves and their families. There are also those who do want stricter gun control laws. They believe that citizens don't really have a good reason to own guns in modern society. They believe the government should institute stricter laws to enforce that belief. They believe the Second Amendment is outdated and can be done away with or may be modified. They believe the answer to the gun crime issue is to institute laws and do away with the guns. They believe the laws may somehow keep criminals from obtaining firearms, and they believe if no criminal has a gun, citizens won't need them either. There are also people who fall somewhere in the middle of this argument, but for the sake of time, we'll just look at these two main sides. So both of these sides do make some valid points, but I believe that the side leaning towards less gun control laws will be more effective. Let's look now at the evidence. There have been many examples in the recent past of how citizens have used legally obtained firearms to protect themselves against others seeking to do them harm. In an article found in the Daily Signal by Amy Swear, a Tennessee man with a concealed carry permit stopped a would-be mass shooter in February of this year. The article reads, "The Sullivan County, Tennessee Sheriff Jeff Cassidy praised the actions of a concealed carry permit holder who ended a deadly domestic violence incident at a dentist's office. The armed citizen shot and detained an active shooter who killed his wife and may have planned to harm others in the office." Just think about how many more people may have been killed or injured had this law-abiding citizen not taken action. Another example from the same article also took place in February of this year. It said, when three armed men attempted to rob a Little Caesars restaurant in North Fort Myers, Florida, a patron inside pulled his own firearm to defend the other customers. One suspect was shot and the other two fled. These are just two examples of armed citizens defending themselves and others against danger. There's also evidence in the past of what could possibly happen when the government becomes too powerful and establishes strict gun control. For example, according to an article from the Daily Herald, between 1929 and 1952, after the Soviet Union had established gun control, 20 million of their own citizens were murdered. From the same article, between 1948 and 1952, China committed the same atrocities against its own citizens after they established stricter gun control. We see here that governments have the ability to become tyrannical against a disarmed population. I also believe that there could be multiple benefits to the U.S. government not enacting stricter gun control laws. I'd like to talk about three of them that I found now. The first benefit would be that law-abiding citizens will be able to protect themselves and their families. It is possible that if citizens who follow the law are disarmed, they would be more likely to be hurt in a home invasion or some other crime. However, if they have access to the proper weapons to defend themselves and are trained on how to use them, this could be less likely. The vast majority of Americans who carry a concealed weapon are not walking around with intent to murder. According to an article in Forbes, millions of Americans carry a firearm each day, and most cite self-defense as their primary reason. The second benefit would be in line with the Second Amendment Fewer gun control laws would mean the public could defend themselves against a government that became too powerful or tyrannical and sought to disarm their citizens. Some people may say that no political revolt could ever happen in today's modern society in America, but it has happened in many countries around the world in the recent past, so it could definitely happen here someday in the future. The third and final benefit would be less violent crime overall. America definitely has a crime problem, and there's no disputing that. We have a gun violence problem too. But the fact is, criminals will get guns no matter what. According to Philip Cook of CBS News, a national survey of state prisons found that just 10% of males aged 18 to 40 who were surveyed admitted to having a gun at the time of their arrest. 10% obtained it legally. Criminals will acquire guns illegally through many ways. Some of these are straw purchase sales, theft, secondhand, and many other ways. If a law-abiding citizen is disarmed, criminals will still get guns one way or another. I think the violent crime would skyrocket in America if the general population was disarmed. Criminals would no longer fear the average person because they would know they'd have no way of defending themselves. They will break the law no matter what. So in conclusion, I've gone over the different aspects of the gun control debate and my reasons for wanting to implement less laws. Less gun control would mean that citizens could defend themselves and that crime rates would not skyrocket. I would call on you to be an informed citizen, learn about the political candidates that you vote for before doing so, and learn their agendas. Help protect your free rights as an American citizen. Thank you.